here today, though, right now, who is in early and ready to, I'm sure, photograph many of these bands, and he's been doing it for over 40 years, photographing many of the rock images that you've seen on album covers and all over the place, magazines, etc., is my old friend Mark Weiss. We had Mark on for his first book, The Decade That Rocked, which is phenomenal and has been out now for, I guess, a year or two. And now he's got a new book called Keep On Rollin', spotlighting Kevin DuBrow and Quiet Riot. Good to see you, man. How are you?
Excellent. Having a great time.
Didn't even start yet, and you're having a good time.
Oh, my goodness. It's awesome.
Well, you're from the same area I'm at, from Jersey, so when you can get into weather like this in January.
Oh, all of a sudden, it was nice, kind of like, bearable. Then all of a sudden, before I left, it was like 20 degrees. I'm like, all right, we got to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, you were texting me. You were like on the fence whether you were doing this. You probably looked at the weather at home and then the weather in Florida. You're like, yeah, I'm out. Do you now realize why when people come from where we live in New Jersey, why as they get older, they all move here?
Yes, and that's the plan.
Is that what you're doing
the plan.
too?
Yeah, Alamorada, Key West, St. Augustine I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, it's just expensive now to get here because everyone's doing it. But anyway, The Decade That Rocked, your previous book, before we talk about this one, when did it come out? How long ago?
It came out almost 3 years.
And it's 3 years?
Yeah, and it's still on the top of the heavy metal charts, number 3, number 2. It's like it's just got this life of its own,
It's a phenomenal book. If you guys never saw this book or didn't check it out, do you still have the website? Is it Decade That Rocked?
Yeah, thedecadethatrocked.com. I personalize it. We throw some goodies in there, some postcards. So yeah, you can get it on Amazon too. But I recommend getting a signature by me.
It's an amazing book, and if you are a fan of mostly 80s rock and metal, it is an incredible coffee table book. And the only thing I don't like about it is it's so big and weighty. It's not the type of thing you take on an airplane.
I know.
So I've not yet read it cover to cover because it's just not portable.
Yeah.
But man, is it an awesome thing to have on your shelf and to look at home when you have a chance. This isn't like some flimsy paperback thing. This is Mark's images. He started shooting in the 70s, right through the 80s, and great stories, outtakes, everybody. You name the artist, Mark shot them or did the album cover. Speaking of, one of your most famous album covers is Twisted Sister Stay Hungry.
I know, 40 years coming up.
And 40 years, but you also know they're going to play again next week in California.
Well, they didn't say they were going to play officially.
They did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
The
Heavy Metal Hall of Fame? Really?
Next Thursday. Yeah, they're going to do 3-4 songs.
I might have to get on a plane.
But the last time that happened was my thing in 2001.
And I was there.
And they swore they never going to do it again, and they went on for 10 more years.
Well, you know the story. They swear, they holy diver or whatever you got to do, and next thing you know what they're playing, But, it's for a reason. Is to help solidify their place in rock and roll, which is well-deserved, of course.
Right. The fact that they're going to do 3-4 songs, the question is, does it become more than that? They always say no, and it does, but who knows? But for those that don't know, Mark did the cover, the classic cover of Twisted Sister's huge album, Stay Hungry. Those are his photos, and you can learn more about that in his book. So tell me about this book, because did you do all the photos in this? What is the story? Mental Health is 40 years old this year for Quiet Riot. Tell me about your connection to Quiet Riot in this book.
Well, I got an email from Missy Whitney, and she just said, hey, I want to use this photo for the cover. I'm doing an ebook on Kevin DuBrow, my memoirs with him. I was the fan club president from DuBrow and Quiet Riot Mental Health, and how much will you charge? And I said, well, how much you got? That's the first thing you start. I know it's a fan, it's an ebook, and she's like, nothing. I'm like, okay, send me the manuscript, let me check it out. And she sent it to me, and I fell in love with the manuscript. And I said, okay, send me all your notes and all your paraphernalia that we can include in it. And she did, and I'm like, oh my God. I said, look, I was just looking to start my own publishing company, and this could be my first one. It could be the perfect one. Kevin was my bro. He came to my wedding. He gave me keys to his house in Rossmore and Hollywood, and back in the 80s. We were best friends, So I said, let's do something. Let's be partners on this. So she sent me everything, and then I got, Ron Sobel involved. And Ron Sobel was Kevin's best friend from when he was a teenager. They had an apartment together, and he ended up being the photographer. And LD, the photographer, he was doing all that Randy stuff with the Japanese.
I remember
release.
his book. Didn't he do a book
he had
too,
a book
of all the Randy Rhoads era
yes,
stuff? Yeah.
and it's just amazing stuff. And I called Ron and I said, look, we don't have a lot of money. This is what we got to work with. Are you on board? He said yes. We did a fundraiser. We got enough money from the fans. Next thing you know it, we're in business. We had enough, and it took about 2.5 years. This is right when COVID started. This is right when my book, The Decade That Rocked, came out, June 2020. So it took a long process. Then I got my girlfriend Mikkel involved, who started the MaSSa publishing with me, and she art directed it with Monica, another art director, and we just pulled this thing together. Like, I couldn't be more proud about it. We published it. And then there's going to be a lot more to come. Like The Decade That Rocked was like my first record deal. You sign to the dotted line, and next thing you know it, So
yeah, but you hit it. That was An Appetite for Destruction. You hit it out of the park with your first book. It's phenomenal. So the way I see this going, if you're going to continue with books like this, is you could only put so much from each act in The Decade That Rocked because of space, even though it's a huge book. So you could actually pull out the bands you have really deep libraries with and do isolated books on them. Whether it's Bon Jovi or all these acts, Kiss, all these acts you shot, you could do self-contained books on them.
Exactly. So this is like kind of like my little, I'm not going to say test, but it's like, look, Kevin DuBrow, Quiet Riot, it's his story, it's Quiet Riot's story. It's very intimate details of their relationship. It's like so amazing. It's like people that, didn't see Kevin in this light. So the reading is very easy, some great photographs, hardcover, got the gold foil on it. We went all out. So, this is our little test model, and then after this, we're gonna do. I have tons of books. I can do a Bon Jovi book. That anniversary is coming up for their 40th year. I got Twisted Sister, 84. I got Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, The Decade That Rocked, Behind the Scenes, The Decade That Rocked, Singers. I mean, there's so much that we're gonna do. So there's just so much exciting stuff to go. I mean, I'm going to be 64, and I plan for the next 10 years or 20 years, or however long I last, to have some fun and hopefully get into an island like Key West or Alamorada and just like sit back with my hard drive and some scans and just keeping the 80s alive, which was just an amazing time back then.
As I'm looking through this book, and I only got it a few minutes ago, so I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it starts early on, and there is Randy Rhoads stuff in here as well, which I'm assuming is Ron Sobel's,
it's
right?
Ron Sobel's,
Did you ever shoot Randy Rhoads with Quiet Riot?
Yeah, if you look in there, when I shot when Ozzy, because I was Ozzy's photographer, I still work with Ozzy, of course, but back in '81 when I first met him, they played the Capitol Theater in Passaic, and I did a photo shoot
with Ozzy
and the band, the Blizzard of Oz, Tommy Aldridge and Rudy Sarzo and Randy. And I said, Randy, after everyone did the group shots, I said, can we do some photos of just you with your guitar? And he's like, they're on stage, I don't want to touch them, very soft-spoken. So I said, how about just some portraits? So he didn't have a guitar. He just seemed very to himself. It's like I think the first time I ever met him. And we just had this connection, and we just took some photos. And that photo, sadly, was the photo that they used in Rolling Stone magazine when he passed, not too long after. So I shot him live a few times after that. I didn't have a lot of time to really get to know him.
But did you ever shoot Randy Rhoads in Quiet Riot?
Oh, in Quiet, no.
Because that's the thing. Speaking of Twisted Sister, I've always said that. There's a huge parallel to me between Quiet Riot and Twisted Sister. Quiet Riot was like the West Coast version of what we had on the East Coast with Twisted.
Yes.
Twisted were huge in the clubs. Everyone talked about it, couldn't get a record deal. Quiet Riot, West Coast, huge in the clubs, couldn't get a record deal. Twisted starts out independent record. Quiet Riot, Japanese label. Yeah. Major label debut, through the roof. Major label Twisted major labels really, you can't stop rock and roll, but still, early record, through the roof, and then the crash and burn, literally the next record. There's so many parallels where Quiet Riot is very much, to me, the West Coast version of Twisted Sister, but it makes sense, you being from New Jersey, that you missed the whole Randy Quiet Riot period.
I didn't have a clue until I was at the US Festival, and I shot them, and I'm like, whoa, what is this?
Quiet Riot.
You know, I was there with Ozzy, ironically enough, and I saw Rudy up there. I'm like, well, I didn't know it. I mean, there wasn't internet. Everyone didn't know everything was going on. They weren't in the magazines, really. So I looked at them. I shot them, which is featured in my Decade That Rock book. And then after that, I called the management up. I said, next time they're in New York, let's do a photo shoot. And that's what we did. And I did the Bang Your Head single sleeve for mental health, which was the graffiti that Frankie did when they opened up at the Garden for Iron Maiden.
Yeah, Frankie's in here, the late, great Frankie Banali as well. Quiet Riot actually playing Rock Island this weekend. The current lineup of the band, the only guy from that era who's still in it now is Rudy, and they're still real good. Jizzy Pearl sings, and Alex Grassi playing guitar, and really, really good band if you get a chance to see him. Johnny Kelly's playing drums now. What do you got here?
Did the forward. Rudy did
Rudy
the forward.
did the great shot of Rudy. That's your shot?
No, that's Ron's. That's pre Mark Weiss, you know.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And then Kevin's mother did the afterward. When Regina did the memorial over at the Rainbow and they revealed the statue, she invited me to come, and I came there with Mikkel, and we spent time with a lot of his friends. And then after that, we visited his grave, which I never did before, and then we visited his mom, and we told her what we were doing with the book, and we showed her a rough draft of it. We sat with her, and her cousin Tamara took us in, and we kind of interviewed her, and then we did. I asked her if she would do the afterword, and she did, and it's just amazing, you know, the way this book came about, and I'm just so proud of it. Kevin would be like, you know, just smiling, or he is smiling right now.
Yeah, we did. Speaking of smiling and fun Kevin DuBrow related things, you were there as well when we did the Shrunken Head thing in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
the Golden Tiki.
Yes,
which was not even a year ago. But there's a bar, for those that don't know, called the Golden Tiki in Vegas. Legendary spot, 24-hour spot.
Yeah, fun.
And they commemorate people by making shrunken head replicas of them. They actually did one for me not long ago in there. And Kevin, they had a ceremony, and I know Kevin's mom, I think, was there.
Yeah, she was there. Yeah, I was there with her, and Regina, and a lot of the old members of Quiet Riot from back in the rainy days.
Nice night.
Yeah,
it was a fun night. Tell me, Kevin DuBrow, later on in Quiet Riot, became a pretty polarizing figure. There are people that really loved him, and then, of course, there was a lot of backlash to Kevin. What can you tell us about the Kevin DuBrow you knew? Like, do you think in some ways he's somewhat misunderstood? Or did he really kind of go off the rails, which is not uncommon when you have big success like that?
I don't think it's about the big success, because like I just feel people are people, whoever they are. Like growing up, like I feel like if he was working in selling women's shoes, he would have that same attitude towards whoever he was around. So people are people. He took whatever he felt and what he wanted to express, and just was himself. Unfortunately, he took it a little bit too far. I loved him. A lot of the bands that I worked with at the same time, obviously there was some friction, but he was tenacious. He was very larger life. But what I loved about him, he told it like it was. So if he liked you, he liked you. If he didn't like you, he would let you know. But he really didn't cross those boundaries until they started with him. So once they start with Kevin, then all systems are go. Like you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it back. Full force, and you're gonna mess with me. So unfortunately, it could have he took it a little too far. But we played off it. Like if you look at the back cover photo of this, we did this for Faces magazine, and we tied him up. And I was like, "You okay with this idea?" Because I'm always trying to come up with different ideas with photo shoots. He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So look at him. I mean, he's tied up. He's got a gag. He's tied up with things. He's got people
trying to hold him back. I'm laughing because there's no way Kevin DuBrow, and we all wish he was still with us. By the way, very super underrated frontman. When people talk about great frontmen, Kevin's not in that conversation. And if you've ever seen him live, he was great on stage. But the thing that I'm laughing about is, in today's world, 2023, in this crazy, hypersensitive social media environment, Kevin would never make it. He would be canceled so quick. It wouldn't even be funny. Because today you can't even say, "Yeah, I went to a show. Yeah, it wasn't that good." Oh my God, he shit talked that big. I hate that shit. I hate people being gagged for their opinions, even if I don't agree with them. And in today's world, I think Kevin would have had a really hard time if he would have made it. But anyway, yeah, super talented guy, and the Quiet Riot stuff, the DuBrow band, which had some great stuff in it as well. And there's a new Quiet Riot song out right now with Kevin
Number
on
one
it.
in a lot of the charts.
It's doing really well. It's called "I Can't Hold On." I premiered it, and it's got Frankie on it as well, and a really great song that has been making the rounds out there. That if you guys haven't, there's a video for it, super touching, that Frankie's widow Regina did. So definitely check that out. Hey, I want to ask you one other thing. I don't know if you saw this or not. There's do you know of this guy that does Kiss fan videos named Andrew Scambati?
I don't.
Okay, so he made a phenomenal Kiss fan video. He sources video like, I don't know how he does it, but he goes to YouTube or whatever and he sources video that's out there. And he's a phenomenal editor. And he edits together a story. So he'll go to one Kiss tour and he'll be like, here's the story of none of the video he shot himself. He sources it and edits it into a movie. It's remarkable the work this guy does. But the reason I'm bringing it up is this latest one is on Hot in the Shade, that tour. And you're all over it.
You really?
You're all over it.
I didn't know that.
I got to send you the link.
Oh, my God.
It's
really?
online. Yeah, because it covers the start of that tour.
Yeah, I was there.
The first couple days, and them getting photos, and there you are showing them proofs. On
eating
the stage,
sandwiches.
Eating sandwiches in the dressing room.
I remember the video. It was on a video. I guess they took it from that. Yeah.
It's well. What happened was there was they had attempted to do a Kiss Exposed Part 2, and it was going to cover that period. There is raw footage of single camera of over 4 hours on YouTube of just those first 2 days fly on the wall. And it was sourced from that, I think.
Wow, that's so crazy.
It's so well done. This guy does amazing stuff. But you're all over it.
Really? Yeah. Oh, my God. I love
like,
that.
There's the young Mark Weiss. You're on the stage.
Yeah.
You're giving him direction, taking photos by the Sphinx and all of that.
Right. Yeah. And Slaughter opened up the show, actually.
Slaughter was on it. Faster was on it. Well, it was either Faster or Winger, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite non-original, non-makeup Kiss tour, Hot in the Shade.
It was good.
That was the best lineup,
awesome.
The best set list.
Yeah.
They started playing the older songs. They got rid of the solos.
Yeah, they had it together. Yeah,
it was really, really a good tour. So, are you going to be shooting here this weekend, or are you just hanging?
Well, I'm here with my buddy Glenn Bax, who I actually got the motorcycle accident when I was 12. 50 years. It's in the book. We talk about it. But so we got an RV. He's in St. Augustine. We drove down from Jersey, and then we got the RV. So we're in the back. We're going to do interviews. I'm doing this TikTok thing. I just posted a TikTok and some social media about the adventure. So I'm just going to have some fun and just interview fans and interview rock stars and people like that. And then I have a book signing. I'm going to do I have the first time we're going to be selling the book. Keep on rolling. Yeah, Kevin book. And I'll be around if they want me to sign it and all that. And I also have the Decade That Rock book available, and I throw some free prints in there and postcards if they want to come by. So yeah, I'm just here to have fun. Just really looking forward to it. They're all my old friends and my old buddies. Yeah, no, just about everybody on this bill, no doubt, shot. So that's very cool. Well, listen, man, thank you for coming by. Good luck with that. The book is called Keep On Rolling, and if you're a Quiet Riot / Kevin DuBrow fan, Randy Rhoads stuff in there too. It's a must. Where do they go to get that book? What's the website? You can go to thedecadethatrock.com and you can get a personalized copy. It's the only place to get this book because we self-published it. There's a very limited amount. We're going to be order more, and then in a few months we're going to have on Meat Hook Live, we're going to have a virtual book release streaming party. So we have like Dee Snider, Stephen Pearcy, Don Dokken, Mitch Perry, the tour manager John Vassalou, Missy Whitney. Just a lot of people are going to be on this. We're going to edit it together. We're going to show it for the first time when the release of Metal Health was, which it's just amazing. 40 years. Crazy. Metal Health. Metal Health was a super important record for me too, and I was talking to Regina, Frankie's widow, about this too, because I started 40 years Metal Health, 40 years for me doing a metal radio show started as of this year. And Metal Health was a really important record to me in the sense that when I was trying to pitch the idea out of high school of doing a radio show dedicated to heavy metal, nobody was doing such a thing at that point. Shouldn't say nobody. There was maybe one or two in the country. And I couldn't. It was a crazy idea to program directors, but I was working in a record store at the time, and the owners of the radio station would come into the record store, and I would say, look,
there's these records that are selling that you're not playing. And in 83, it was Metal Health. It was Pyromania before Pyromania broke. Pyromania before it blew up. And it was Kill 'Em All, Metallica.
Right,
and I'm like, we're
right.
selling boatloads of these records, and you guys are not playing them on the radio. Give me a couple hours on a Friday night to go do it. And that's how my radio show was born. So I've talked to Lars about this, and I've talked to the Leopard guys about it. Is like, indirectly, of course, their releases getting traction right out of the gate helped support my case that a radio show could exist playing nothing but heavy music, even if it was one time a week. So it's 83 is a really important year, and here we are 40 years later, and for those of us lucky enough to still be standing, it's pretty interesting to look back on. It really is.
Yeah, it's awesome. And just a side note, what was your first concert you went to?
Kiss, December 16th, 1977, Madison Square Garden.
And I was there.
You sent me that shot of Ace.
Yep. And this guy, Glenn, was there. We were selling pictures, getting arrested. That's when I got arrested, and I went to jail overnight. And then I went to Circus Magazine the next day, and that's how my fucking... Oh.
You can say that.
Oh,
you can say fucking, yeah.
That's my fucking how it all started. So me and Glenn were running around from the cops, and 50 years later, we're hanging out in an RV at Rock Island.
I say this all the time. What we do and what we're lucky enough to do, and even people listening who aren't in the music business for a living, if you have a true love of this and it's in your veins and you still are out there doing it, celebrating it, I truly believe it keeps you young. I really do. Because you're a little older than me, but we're still like kids when we do this.
Crazy.
Like you just said, you're in an RV, like you're in high school right now.
Yeah.
But we all have friends, and I'm not going to name names, but they're our age or even a little younger, and they're like done. Like they're done. Like the idea of like doing something at 10 o'clock at night. What? So I think this keeps it. And for me, it's really important doing what I do to still be out there and in it and meet the people that listen and actually see what these bands are doing now so I can report on it. So we're lucky that we've made a living out of it. But even if you're just doing it as a fan, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you moving.
Well, all those fans that are going to be at Rock Island, like I look at them and I don't look at them as like 50, 60-year-old people. I look at them as like 25-year-old people that are just like absorbing this. It's just that magical decade that with this music brought us all together, and because of MTV and the radio play and the in-stores, there's no other decade that has that, and I don't think ever will.
Yeah, probably not. The way the music has changed, the way people look at it, the way they digest it. I mean, we come from a time, as many people listening do, where a new record came out, you lined up waiting for the gate to open to get it. You wanted to get concert tickets. You were there sleeping over the night before, wanted to get that first person in line, and got a whole record. You looked at it, you read it, you smelled it, you did everything to it. Yeah. You slept with it. You did everything you could do because it was so important. Now it's like, I'm going to click, listen to 30 seconds. I don't like it. I'm going to click onto the next thing.
Crazy.
It is. It's different time, but
Yeah, I miss sneaking into the concerts. I used to like take my tickets at Madison Square Garden and have like the old stubs from the other concerts. And when you got to fake your way all the way through the like 3 guards. And when you get to the guy that rips it, you got to slip him $5. And I did that for every show from 1976, 77, and then I got photo passes after that. But for those times,
slip him $5 because this ticket wasn't for.
No,
you didn't have a ticket for the show.
They took the money. I didn't have a ticket for the show, so they took the money.
$5 got you in?
Sometimes 3. Led Zeppelin, 5 people I had with me. I said, they're with me. I got their tickets. Here's 20.
And they walked you through the turnstile.
Maybe 50, 60 shows.
Well, inflation. Now that's probably a $200 move.
I don't think
my
they
friend
do that
Doug
anymore.
just tipped the pizza guy $100 to bring a pizza here.
Oh my
so
God.
That's where we're at now. Mark got into Led Zeppelin for $5. Doug had to pay $100 for a pizza delivery.
Yeah, so it was fun times. Fun times.
I used to say when I used to go through those turnstiles, I had the ticket for the actual show, but I used to be. We talked about this on the air before. Used to hope that they gave you a good tear where they teared on the perforation, so you could take the ticket and see what it was. They didn't rip it down the middle.
Well, you didn't at the end of the show when everyone left, you didn't go around and just find those ticket stubs. I did it for a reason because I knew I was going to use them, but thank God I did that because I use them for other things. So I have like Led Zeppelin. I didn't even have a ticket, and now I have 10 or 20 tickets because people just threw them on the floor after.
But wait, real quick on this, I'm fascinated. So you you grease the guy at the turnstile to let you into the show.
Yeah.
But wait, when you get in there, you don't have a seat. So what do? You just get bounced around?
Good. I don't get bounced. I have a strategy. So I'm going to tell you my secret. I don't know if it's going to work anymore.
If you want to apply this now in 2023, good luck. But here's Mark Weiss's way to go into a show without a ticket.
All right. So first of all, what I did was, because I had the camera equipment too, so I would dismantle it. I had, the fry boots. I used to stick my lens in, all the film.
Our friend Ron Akalma did that too.
So we were probably,
everybody snuck in like that.
Yeah, so I put the film in one, and then I took the body and put it on, the back of me, so you just see the strap. I had some jewelry here so they couldn't see it, so they didn't pack you back, because they used to pat you down.
Right.
So I got through them. I got through the ticket stub guy, gave him $5, $10, it depends who I was with. And then I would go in, and then what I would do is have these old ticket stubs, different. There were colors. There was blue, orchestra was, brown. So I had the brown ones, obviously, for the orchestra. So it's all about the eyesight, You find like a crowd of 4 people, and you go behind them, so they show them their ticket stubs. Then you have yours too. They're all showing theirs. Blah blah blah. They look at the first one,
like you're with them.
Well, they look at the first one, but then you're the fifth wheel, and then they look at the 5th one, and they go, they go like that.
Right.
So then you go in, and then you go, all right, now what? So now you go down the aisle, you follow them, as hopefully they're in the front, because I want, best case scenario is you're 10 rows back, and then you get a spot. You find an empty seat.
Right.
Now, in case there's not an empty seat, what I did, I perfected this. This is my Mark Weiss perfection of getting a great spot to take photos of the whole show. So I go in there, I'm in there, and then everyone stands up, when the band comes on. Yeah. All right. I'm still kind of like looking for a spot. If I find an empty seat, I'll sit there, because everyone stands up back in the day,
Right.
So then I would and how all those seats were locked, integrated,
Yep.
They were locked in. Well, everyone's standing up.
Yeah.
And I would unlock it and push it down 10 rows.
Make yourself a space.
10 rows, the best spot. So we lock it off so the security guards can't come in anymore. And then I got that spot. I got one little spot. And I'm shooting the whole show, Led Zeppelin. I mean, I remember that the one shot that's in my book is a double page. Robert's looking right at me. I'm standing on the seat, and he's looking right at me with the 4 of them when they did that acoustic set.
Yeah.
So, so that's what I did. And if that didn't work where I couldn't get down with the ticket, then I did kamikaze style. So when the first band ended, I'd wait for the lights to go down. I would jump over the barricade, the top part at the Garden, and then I would scramble and fucking run to a spot, and then do the same thing.
It's amazing. I think like when I used to go to Mets games, and I never went to a Mets game with the ticket without a ticket to the game, but I would often be way at the top, and I'd be looking down at those like 5 rows over first base dugout, and I'd be like, I want to be there. There's 5 empty seats, so I grease the usher. And then he'd walk you down. You kick the usher, whatever it was, 10, 20.
Yes.
They'll put you in the empty seat.
Definitely.
But what would happen is, like the 3rd inning, the people who actually had those seats would show up, and then the usher would come over, and they all had an act, because they're like, get out of here, kid. And then they pull you under the tunnel. They go, just wait, we'll find you another spot.
I know.
I wonder how much of that still goes on. I'm sure it does, but back then it
These
was
are
the
older
norm.
guys, too, that were in the union. I don't know if they do that anymore, because they get fired at this point. Who knows?
I don't know. The people are going to have the barcodes on their foreheads now. You barely have tickets anymore. So, hey, listen, man, thanks for coming by. Enjoy the week, and go to The Decade That Rocked. Is it Decade or The Decade?
The Decade That Rocked.
TheDecadeThatRocked.com. See both of Mark's books. You can order them there. And if you happen to be coming to Rock Island this week, look for Mark, and he'll be doing his book thing.
I'll sign them.
Sell them, whatever you want to do. He'll give you more tips on how to sneak into shows for free.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have said that with a concert here this week. You're giving tips to people how to sneak into Rock Island.
Sorry, Kyle. My bad.
Mark, they're putting your ass on that RV back to New Jersey tonight.
And they were so great to me. Michael. Dana connected me with Michael, and then Michael got the okay from Kyle, and they were just so gracious. And so I am sorry, Kyle. Have your security guard say, do not do this.
Nobody apply that to Rock Island
this is
week.
like
This
is 40 years ago.
Exactly.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
You'll get kicked out.
All right, we'll be back. We'll take some more phone calls. So you guys on hold, stick around. We'll get to you here on Trunk Nation. More rock talk finishing up after this quick break from Rock Island Day 1. Key West, Florida, Trunk Nation, Faction Talk 103. Be right back.